Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday. Normally, we do our recap episodes on Monday, but with this painful loss to the New England Patriots, decided to give it an extra day to sort of mellow, let everything settle, gather the thoughts, and then come to you this evening and sort of break down my thoughts about the unfortunate game this weekend. The Lions getting shut out at Foxborough by the New England Patriots. Thank you for joining. I'm Kevin Marhani. This is the Lions Grid. We are coming live to you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. So whichever one of those channels is your favorite flavor, be sure to search for the Lions Grid. Go ahead and subscribe, follow, like, all of those good things you can do on those various channels, and make sure that you get kept up to date with our latest episodes. Typically, we do a pre-game episode. Now we're doing our post-game episode, and so usually those are Sunday mornings, Monday evenings. But again, left a little bit of extra time to soak this one in because it was a painful loss. And so let's start talking about it. Let's start trying to break it down. And really, it starts with everything went wrong for the Lions this week. This was a game the Lions should have won. They came into this game the number one scoring offense in the NFL. They're going on a bye this upcoming week. Uh, they were getting some players back off of injury. Not everybody. They still had some pretty key injuries, but they were getting Amon-Ra St. Brown back, getting a little healthier in that receiver room that's been decimated. They also got Jonah Jackson back for the offensive line. There were some positive things, and so if they could have gotten a win here against the Patriots, who were starting their third string rookie quarterback, uh, it could have set them up for some positive momentum heading into the bye week. Instead, what we're left with is a team where, unfortunately, if you're a Lions fan, I'd like to say that the season isn't over, that there is some excitement to be had, but at this point, I think it's a race to the bottom. I think you are competing with the Panthers, the Houston Texans, the other teams in the league that are bad for the number one pick. Because what I just saw out of the Lions this past weekend was awful. I mean, they were bad. Um, my dad's right. Kudos to the Patriots. They did take away the offense, which Bill Belichick is famous for coming up with game plans to take away what the opposing team does well. But credit to them for that. But at the same time, that was a game. The Lions, they should have at least showed up to that game. And really, they might not as they didn't need to take the trip at that point because it was a very ugly game. The offense never looked in sync, and I understand that Bill Belichick is a great mind and can come up with a strategy to really take away what you do best. But at least you would think there would be something, some sort of something, even in garbage time. But we didn't even see a garbage time touchdown or field goal or anything. So, uh, as we continue to dig into the game, um, I'd like to say there's hope for this season. I don't think there is. I think the only hope that they have is that the Rams also have a horrible season and they get two high draft picks in this upcoming pick or in this upcoming draft, and you can make use of both of those, because it I don't want to say it's all doom and gloom, but that was a very rough game to have watched, and they just did not play well. So moving on here, obviously, we talked about the fact there were some injuries heading into this game. In particular, they had been making some shakeups and some moves in that defensive secondary. But coming into the game, both Amani Awarie and Juju Hughes, who were two starters before they decided to mix things up back there. Both of them were inactive for this game. And then throughout the course of the game, there were a ton of injuries in the secondary. Some of them worse than others. Jeff Okudah was out for a little while. Will Harris, he left the game and never came back. Deshaun Elliott, a safety, was out. Fute Melifonwu, we'll go with that. He was out for he had cramps in I think the third quarter and then sat out the rest of that game. And of course there was Xavier Smith, who was very close to the start of that game I think it was either the second or third offensive play, had that scary injury where he was trying to cover Hunter Henry for the Patriots and gotten injured and carted off the field. He did travel back with the team, but you're talking uh, that's what, 6, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starters uh, in that game that at some point in time weren't able to be out on the field for that secondary with a defense that was already the worst in the league. Um, Not good, not good. And certainly, when we take a look here, um, part of the reason I think that they were unable to take advantage of the rookie QB were all of those injuries to the secondary. Ooh, we got a little typo there. Let's fix that bad boy real quick. Dropping the Zappy completed. There's a C in there. Oh, no, 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 no. See, that's why you don't do the stuff on the fly. You just ignore it and go ahead. But when you take a look at Bailey Zappi, third string quarterback, making his first start, uh, he already played last week as he came into the game to replace Brian Hoyer, who's on injured reserve with a concussion. But this was his first start. He was able to go 17 to 21 for 188 yards and a touchdown. Um, pretty clean stat line. Obviously, they leaned pretty heavy on their running game, and we'll talk about that here in just a second because the Patriots really did dominate with that running game. But you know, uh, we weren't able to get any pass rush onto him to force him into making bad decisions. And on top of that, we didn't have the players out there in the secondary to make plays to take advantage of that. So it was sort of a 1-2 punch of the fact that or I guess it was three main things. Number one, that running game was kicking our ass. Number two, we weren't able to get a pass rush in place. And number three, even if we were able to get a pass rush to force them to make bad throws, there were, our starting secondary was depleted and there was nobody to take advantage of that. So, as my dad says, the Matt Patricia, the offensive genius he is, was just able to script something in there that just the Lions weren't able to do. And um, I can see there a question of where's Hutchinson. A very good question. I think overall, if you look at sort of the drafting that this new regime has done, I think you look at Penei Sewell. I think he was a great addition to the team. I think he ended up being everything that he was supposed to be. If he stays healthy and continues to play at the level he's at, he's definitely somebody I can see going to multiple Pro Bowls and potentially be a Hall of Famer. And if the Lions can keep him on their team throughout that whole time, he can be just a foundational member of that offensive line who can be like the Leonard Davis, the John Octons, those linemen of old that really were just the foundation of their team up front. I think Penei Sewell can be that caliber of player, and he's shown that so far that there's been glimpses of that, and that's been great. But Aiden Hutchinson, I think for the most part, was a pretty celebrated pick. The fact that the Jaguars did not take him, most people were ecstatic, in the fact that the Lions could pick him up was sort of universally seen, not just by Lions fans and sort of their personnel, but seen as a great pickup for them. But so far, outside of those 3 sacks that he had in the first half of that game against the Washington Commanders, he's sort of disappeared since then. And obviously, it's a long season ahead, but the Patriots' offensive line is not as stout as they have been in past years. Again, a rookie quarterback back there being the play caller, you would have thought that this could have been a great game for Hutchinson to step up and make his presence sort of felt. And it was another game where you're not really sure if he was there or not. You can check the box score. He might have had a tackle or two, but he definitely I think he has been exposed at times in the running game, and the Patriots dominated with their running game. Stevenson rushed for a career high 161 rushing yards against this Lions team. That's you're not going to win many games when you're giving up 161 yards to the opposition's running back. It's just not going to happen. As a team, the Patriots rush for, just checking here, how many total yards did they rush for? 176. So really, most of it did come from Stevenson, but I mean, it's just you're just not going to be very productive against that. Um, it helps them control the clock. It sort of demoralizes your team, keeps the ball out of that number one offense's hands, and it's it was rough. And I think in combination with taking away what we did well on offense, with making sure that they won that battle for time of possession, and really they won it, but it was close. The Patriots only had the ball for 31 minutes and 29 seconds. The Lions had the ball for 28 minutes and 31 seconds. So despite all the success they had on the ground, it wasn't like the time of possession was heavily slated in the Patriots' favor. But they did enough there to really just hinder the Lions, and it was bad. I really, you know, if we take a look at the Lions' offense in particular, they were left scoreless despite being in Patriots territory 7 times. And certainly we'll talk about it here in a second, but part of it is because of, I think, a lack of um, a lack of belief in their kicker, Mike Badgley, thinking that he wasn't going to be able to make some of the kicks that they were going to be asking him to do. But it's when you have the ball 7 times in the opponent's territory and you're unable to convert any of that into any points, especially when you're the number one scoring offense coming into that week. Kudos to the Patriots, their defense, their game plan, because they obviously were able to figure out what the Lions were doing and keep Jared Goff from getting comfortable. And um, they were able to keep Hawkinson in check. One of his interception on the day, in fact, was a throw to Hawkinson, where he kind of stared him down, and the Patriots defender there was able to step in front of it and make a pick. But they didn't fall into that trap that Seattle did last week, where who are they going to throw it to? With everybody out, the Patriots knew they were going to try and get the ball to Hawkinson, and really took him out of the game. And as mentioned, the kicking game was, again, not necessarily having full confidence in Mike Badgley. I think that it's been regardless of who the kicker has been this season, whether it's been Austin Siebert, Eberle, Mike Badgley being the newest guy in there. I just saw they signed another guy to the practice squad. Sam Watson, I think, is the new place kicker they brought into the practice squad. There isn't confidence in the kicking game. And so the Lions went forward on 4th down 6 times during that game and weren't able to convert any of those 4th downs. And so it just compounded themselves, right? They didn't have faith in their special teams to be able to convert when they needed to. It forced them to make a gamble a little bit there, because they felt they had a better chance of actually having a positive outcome by going for it, as opposed for kicking the field goal. And it just gave the ball back to the Patriots, and they were able to have a very productive day. And so yeah, it's rough, right? Certainly, I think a game that you really would have liked to see the Lions have win. On paper, again, the third string quarterback, a rookie quarterback, getting the start for the Patriots. The Patriots certainly not having the year, not looking as formidable as they have in years past. Certainly seemed like this was a game the Lions could have won coming into it. And they were only, I think the Patriots were only favored by like 3 points, but 29-0 final score, pretty much dominated there. And again, as Joe points out in chat, I think it's all credit goes to the good old New England coaching. Bill Belichick got it done, and the Lions just were unable to be productive this day. And offensively, defensively, special teams, the whole team did not look good this week. At least in previous weeks, the offense playing at the level it was at least entertaining to watch the games, right? This week, they decided to just sabotage all of that. And what you got was a very hard game to watch, because the offense just looked terrible. The defense was the defense, and it just wasn't any fun to watch. And unfortunately, like I said, I'd like to say, we're heading into the bye week. Obviously, we're going to get people back from injury, DJ Chark, DeAndre Swift. At different point in times, we're going to see this team get healthy. But I don't know even if you bring back those players, if the outcome of the season is going to be different. Again, we were hoping to see them take a step forward this year. They only won 3 games last year, so we were hoping that they would do better than that. But at this point in time, when it comes time for me to pick winners on Sundays, I'm going with the opposition at this point until the Lions can prove otherwise. Because uh, that this is 2 games in a row. The Seahawks, the Patriots, two games where I certainly felt that they had a really good chance of winning these games, and they came in and they laid an egg. At least with the Seahawks, it was really just on the defensive side of things. Uh, but this game against the Patriots, it was really all 3 phases of the game that they disappointed in. And so that regression between week to week is not something I wanted to see. And you heard Dan Campbell after the game say that he thinks they've hit rock bottom and there's nowhere to go but up. But you can, even when you hit rock bottom, you don't necessarily always just ping straight back up. Sometimes you just go along horizontally and you sort of continue to drag yourself along there. So, um, I don't want to be all doom and gloom and be all pessimistic for Lions fans, but honestly, I think the best you can hope for this season, again, is that the Rams continue their struggles and you get 2 high picks in next year's draft. Because I think, unfortunately, it's only October 11th, but in my book, I'm calling the Lions season over. I don't see them making it to the idea of them challenging for a wild card spot now is sort of laughable to me. I think the Vikings are clearly the best team right now in the NFC North. Now that certainly can change, but the struggles that Aaron Rodgers is having with his receiving core right now, the Packers definitely look vulnerable, and they also let Zadavion Smith go to, or sorry, Zadarius Smith go to Minnesota, and he is looking pretty good over there for the Vikings, and certainly somebody they would love to have back over on the Packers side of things. Uh, it looks like the Packers are vulnerable. I like what I've seen out of the Vikings. The Bears are the Bears, and so this was certainly a season where I think there was a lot of optimism for the Lions. We were just kind of hoping they would be better than they were last year, but there was sort of an opportunity, an opening for them. It seemed like, where maybe, just maybe, if the stars aligned, that they could maybe do more than we anticipated and potentially challenge for a wild card spot. But after week 5 here against the Patriots, I'm calling it. Nope, the stars aren't aligning. We're not magically finding our way to a wild card spot. We will be lucky if we are not the worst team in the NFL at the end of the season. So, sorry, Lions fans. It's going to be a rough rest of the year. Thankfully, we're sort of saved from any real anguish up in this upcoming week with the bye week, but we'll get to resume our pain the following week in week 7, when the Lions take on the Dallas Cowboys, and that Dallas defense comes in. And I will say, a lot of people I have seen in different chats and things like that talk about how they wish we had taken Micah Parsons over Penei Sewell in that draft. Uh, and like I said, I think Penei Sewell has the opportunity to be a Hall of Famer and someone that hopefully the Lions can keep under contract and on the team, because he can be a solid foundation for them for years to come. And he's been playing excellently. But there's no way to deny that what Micah Parsons is doing for the Cowboys, getting that pass rush, and is something the Lions could only dream of. When we took Aiden Hutchinson in this year's draft, we were hoping that he could have at least replicate some of that success in getting to the quarterback that we've seen out of Parsons, but we haven't. So it's one of those things where Penei Sewell being an offensive lineman who sort of is that non-flashy, you don't necessarily, when an offensive lineman is doing their job, right, you don't notice it. Whereas when Parsons is getting to the quarterback and causing turnovers and sacking QBs, obviously those are big highlight plays. It's kind of hard to be angry at fans for being like, oh, hey, we had a chance to take that guy, we should have taken him instead, because obviously it's something that catches your attention more so than good offensive line play. So I'm not going to fault anybody for that, but I do think Penei Sewell is the right pick there. But we'll get to see it firsthand as the Lions will be taking on the Cowboys and sort of see how that goes. But yeah, This has been the Lions Grid. I'm Kevin Marhine. Again, we're coming live to you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Be sure again to like us, like their page, follow us, whatever each channel's preferred method of staying in touch is. Again, this has been our recap episode of Week 5 as the Lions lost 29-0 to the New England Patriots. We won't be doing an episode this upcoming Sunday because, again, we're on a bye week, but we will be back the following week as the Lions look to take on those Dallas Cowboys that I mentioned a little bit earlier. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you during the next episode. Bye-bye.